Well, at least I am live. Hello and welcome. My name is Dieter Staudinger, and this is the My Best Life Now show. You're here because you want to get healthy, optimize your immune system, learn about juicing, optimal nutrition, the power of your mind, and what it takes to create your best life now. So that show is for you. Today's guest is Mark Kearns. Now, Mark and I are really brand new to all of this, so please stick with us as we are going through the growing pains of, you know, everything is hard before it gets easy. So let me see if Mark can make it on the call, and please stick with us. I will see here what's going on. Um, okay. Okay. So I've initiated the invite, and hopefully that will be received by Mark in a second. Now, if this is really brand new, my partner, Health Nut in Bliss, Rebecca Rebley, and I, we just recently started a 40-day juice fast. So we call it Juicing to Bliss in 40 days. And why we're inspired to do this hangout with Mark is because our mission is really to help and inspire others. And I can see, I just saw Mark here. Mark Kearns, are you with us?
I am with you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I am so glad to have you. I was just kind of letting everybody know what this is really about. And if you just give me a second, I'll introduce you. Today we're honored to have one of those experts with us, and I wanted to welcome with me Mark Kearns. And Mark is an executive consultant and self-empowerment coach, and he's also the author of two really inspiring and empowering books. And one of the books is Mind Over Cancer, and how to use guided meditation to help cancer. And the second book is Fearless Confidence, The Secrets to Unshakable Self-Confidence. And I think Mark might put up some links. If you want me to email you the links, please head over to juicingtobliss.com. Just give your name and email address, and you will get the links along with our free 4-day juicing, fully guided juicing fast for you. So let me just tell you a little bit about Mark. Mark has also a master's degree in counseling, and he's a doctor of natural health. And he'll talk to me about how to prepare yourself for the emotional component of a detox. Whether it's a juice fast or any other cleanse, I think we all know or have read or heard about the physical detox symptoms. You can see a little bit my skin is still breaking out, getting rid of some of the long time accumulated toxins here. And Mark will reveal to us a little bit more about the emotional side of a detox. What is it actually like as far as going through it with our mind and our heart? And because I can tell you from my experience and my partner's experience, it's been emotionally quite a roller coaster. We're on day 8 as the recording of this interview. And please, Mark, thank you so much for agreeing to be on our show. And why don't you take it from there, introduce yourself, and let our audience know who you are and what you're passionate about.
Great. Thank you, Dieter. I am Mark Kearns. Let's see if I'm supposed to click on
you're
this.
good. I see it up. No, now I'm back on my screen. So just either click on your screen for 2 seconds or just start talking. I think Hangouts is smart. It kind of figures out who's talking and puts that person on the screen.
Yeah, evidently it's a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah,
so...
and me too. Yeah, you're going back and forth here. So I'm going to be quiet, and you go ahead, Mark. Please let our audience know who you are and what's your passion and what you have to share.
Excellent. Thank you, Dina. I am Mark Kearns. Originally, I started out in clinical hypnotherapy decades ago. Actually graduated with an undergraduate degree in psychology and left that alone for a while. And then as time passed on, I got interested in the workings of the mind. As a matter of fact, thanks to one of my psychology professors who had studied hypnosis while in graduate school, I was amazed at what the mind is capable of doing, and more importantly, what it's capable of doing with respects to giving it a direction and a purpose. One of the things that we need to keep in mind is this, and especially when we're doing juice fast or juicing or any detox program, the subconscious mind is a spot that holds all of the beliefs. Now, when we say beliefs, we're also saying the fears, the doubts, and the uncertainties. The subconscious mind does not reason like the conscious mind does. So it's not going to get into an argument with you about why are you doing this or why you're not doing this or why you're thinking this or why you're not thinking this. It simply responds to the directions of the conscious mind. So the conscious mind pretty much becomes the gatekeeper. What we find that happens in detox programs is that as the body begins to detoxify and begins to release these toxins, there is also an emotional component that comes to play. Why? Well, it seems that emotions are organ specific. Certain emotions seem to zero in on certain organs. For instance, if a person begins to experience a lot of fear for whatever reason, and believe me, all of this is illusions that are set up by the ego, but nonetheless, because we experience them in a physical body and we experience them through physical feelings, to us they're real. They're reality. So
yeah, I mean, I can just say that from my own experience. You know, I've done 4-day cleanses and fasts, and this is day 8, you know, as of the time of this recording, and I can definitely, you know, just echo what you said as far as feeling those states with real raw intensity at times. And so can you maybe talk about, for example, because for me, you know, my skin seems to be one of those organs that is breaking out. So maybe you can talk about some of the more common experiences that people might have on a fast, Mark, if you would, please.
sure. Keep in mind that the skin is the largest organ of the body. So as you begin to detoxify, your body is going to try to push these toxins out through each and every opening you have. And I don't think I really need to get too graphic with that, but it's going to try to push it out through your skin, push it out any kind of way it can possibly push it out.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No. I mean, you can. Everybody can see that probably on the screen really well. That's just the way my mode is. For Rebecca, for example, she is experiencing a lot of a pain in her legs and her hips. Like that's where a lot of her emotional, I'm gonna say, trauma seems to be stored, and that's just, you know, that's unique to me and to her. So please go ahead and just and dial in on how that works its way out, and what's the reason behind it too.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at those particular challenges. I don't want to call them symptoms, but challenges. Now, one thing we want to keep in mind, as we begin to detoxify, we sort of have symptoms and challenges in reverse. Everything that we've sort of experienced through life, now that tape begins to rewind as we detox. So let's take legs, for example. Energetically, and again, this does not apply, this is not a hard fast rule written in stone, one size fits all. This is energetically, most people that experience pain are experiencing some element of guilt. some element of pain is payback for the guilt. It's sort of almost like self-punishment. It doesn't mean that that's what Rebecca's going through, but a lot of people that experience pain in some part of their body on an unconscious level, on an other than conscious level, they're trying to maybe deal with some element of guilt in their mind. Now,
And can I just speak to that? I mean, I would have loved to have Rebecca, who is usually my co-host for our show, to be on here and just speak for herself. But one thing that I want to share with our audience is that that was actually one of the reasons for doing the juice fast. For the both of us, we don't have a whole lot of weight to lose, so our focus wasn't on weight loss. It was really on rebooting or resetting both our physical body as well as our emotional body and our mind. And so we had a pretty good idea that these things would be coming up, and I can definitely say to you that what you spoke about, the unconscious guilt, is definitely one of the things that came up for her, and that we knew that, but it's just, it's coming up even more intense. It's almost like it doesn't want to be seen, it doesn't want to be brought to the light. And we're not talking about quitting or anything like that, but it is a pretty intense physical experience that goes along with, I think in her blog yesterday she was talking about how, one of these, just out of the blue, crying and just really feeling raw and having some old experiences coming up. When that happens for people who are on a fast, Mark, what would you recommend, like you as the expert here, what would you recommend to people when they actually all of a sudden get in touch with maybe at first a physical pain, but then all of a sudden like a bubble of really old pain or guilt or any of that? What would you recommend that somebody, the steps that somebody could follow to really let it go and not just push it back down again, because the intention is to let it go?
Couple of things. First of all, it's a great opportunity to expose how the ego is manipulating you from an unconscious level, because these things are really and truly illusions. They're real to us, but they're not real in actuality. A lot of the guilt that we experience is self-imposed guilt. We think it's for an event that has happened in our life, that we have caused the event. We don't understand that these events come in our life to help us to transform. What Rebecca and you are going through right now are not, catastrophic emotional traumas. They're opportunities to transform yourselves and move up in evolution, if you want to call it that. Move up in spiritual character. So what will we do? Well, the first thing is to recognize that in having those experiences, you are exposing the ego for what it really and truly is. You're pulling it out of the darkness and you are pulling it into the light. What scares us is that the onset of the emotion comes on so quick and so intense, we think something must be going wrong. And it's not. It's happening exactly as it's supposed to happen. Think about this. In ancient tradition, when people, Jesus, any of the great spiritual leaders and spiritual masters of the time would go into the desert, would go into solitude, and oddly enough, for 40 days and nights. And in doing so, they would purge themselves of the ego's influence on the soul. So now, when they are reemerged into the light, when they are reemerged out of the cave, these were extraordinarily powerful people because they were operating from the position of the soul and not from the ego.
And that's because they had the direct experience, right? I mean, it wasn't just book knowledge. They actually went through, what some people call the dark night of the soul, or, the exposing of the ego, as you called it, right?
Right. That is the dark night of the soul. It's not one night. but it's just a figure of speech. And that's exactly what y'all are going through right now. This is exactly what you're exposing right now, are all of these beliefs that have been literally manipulating your lives over time, that have remained on an unconscious level, like little viruses in a computer, and just affecting how you operate in life, the things that you're attracted to, the things that you're not attracted to, and now all of a sudden you're dragging them kicking and screaming into the light. All right, so remember, until we have the experience of something, we gain no wisdom. All we have is knowledge. And knowledge is great, but until knowledge can be transformed into wisdom, it can't serve us in life. So y'all in the process of doing that. The next thing we want to do.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. The next thing we want to do, and this is how you really and truly can expose that it's ego and nothing short of ego. If when these emotional outbursts come, when these intense emotions come, if you can just remain passive for a moment, as though you were watching them happen on a TV or a computer, but it wasn't happening to you. You were just a viewer. You were just someone watching it. Give it a few moments and you'll notice that it jumps track. So if you were getting wrapped up in an experience, a thought about guilt, about anger, about anything else, and you just backed up for a moment and just viewed it, just watched it, as though you were sitting in a movie theater just watching a movie, and didn't engage, you'll find that after a couple of moments, all of a sudden it jumps to another thought. It doesn't remain on that exact same thought. It jumps track. Now, the reason the ego is doing that is it's trying to get you to bite. It wants to get you to bite on something that's intense. Why? Because if it can get you to do that, it can take your mind off of what you're really trying to do. It doesn't want to be exposed.
Just to kind of interject here and summarize, but also to expand on, please, for our audience, because I'm sure some of the people that are watching this or listening to this, by now they might be thinking, what reason would the ego, they may be even thinking still, I am the person that thinks all these thoughts. So what reason might there be for the ego to kind of go to such great lengths to keep us from creating our best life, to keep us from being free and choose, with confidence, the life and the kind of abundance that we would love to see for ourselves and our family? Maybe you can speak to that for just a moment, please.
Sure, would love to, because what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense, and I know all of us that have ever experienced this have come to that crossroad that you just brought up. To answer this question, we pretty much have to go back in time to the ancient writings, of the Kabbalists, the Rosicrucians, the Essenes. Why would the ego do this? Because in doing this, it pushes you so far against the wall. It creates such havoc in your body, such chaos in your mind, that you reach out for help. But the help that you reach out for is spiritual help. Because you can't end this. You can't fight your ego. You're not going to win. It doesn't rest. It doesn't sleep. It works 24/7, 365. It's waiting for you when you wake up in the dead of night. It's always there. So in creating that intensity, it sort of awakens you. It awakens that spiritual spark in you that says, wait a minute, I need help, but I need a big gun. I need to call in something that can just deal with this ego part of me. And yes, it does seem real to us. Why? Because it's in our own voice. It's happening in our head. We think that it is real. The early Essenes said that when humans are born, they're given the gift of soul, but they're also given the gift of the opponent, the adversary. And it was the adversary's job, the opponent's job, to create that doubt and confusion and make us choose, make us learn that in every step of life, we must make a choice. And in making that choice, we must experience the effects of that choice. So that's kind of what's going on.
So if I can just summarize that quickly, ego isn't really out. So from a larger perspective, the ego isn't really out to get us and um, kill us in the end. But
Oh
really,
no,
in
no.
a way, it's actually a tool that's quite, if you think about it, is actually quite amazing to help us remember who we truly are. Is that kind of like what you were
Exactly.
pointing at?
It's the employee of the month.
So basically, what you're saying is it's a terrible master, but it is a great servant. Is that
It will
does that kind of capture?
it will teach you to become the master of your own life, the master of your own destiny. And it will create situations in such a way that you must reestablish that connection to your higher consciousness in order to work through that.
Okay, now when somebody is in, like a really painful, let's call them episodes, because it's like an ebb and flow. For us going through each day, I know hunger isn't even part of for us it's not even really we don't crave any foods to that extent, but the way our egos come in is a little sneakier, in some ways, and um, when somebody is experiencing the pain really intensely, what is your advice to them? Because I know a lot of people, whether it is New Year's intentions or wanting to get better at something, it's not just for the juice fast. I think that's really important. It's just that the juice fast is almost like a conscious decision to grow in our own remembering and our own spiritual gravity and size in some ways. So what would you say to somebody who is kind of wrestling, having that conflict, that war going on the inside, and what would you say to them in this moment of, should they give up? Oh my God, juice fasting is not for me, or this cleanse is not for me. What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, let's think about this for a moment. First of all, not everyone will be emotionally ready for a prolonged fast. And people who have not ever fasted before, and people who have never ever given a thought or tried to get in touch with the spiritual aspect or the higher consciousness, the infinite source, whatever you choose to call it, those people may not be best served by trying to do something on an extreme level first. But let's talk about the people who have had some experience, like yourself. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what can you do? I have a little short technique that's called the emotional release technique. And that technique will help you to sort of disengage that emotion. So what happens when that happens? When you disengage the emotion of an intense experience, what do you have left? When you take all of the sadness out, all of the shame, the blame, when you take the fear, the doubt, and the uncertainty out of any event, what do you have left? You have nothing but information. And we can all deal with information. It's the emotion and the feelings that we have trouble dealing with. So there is a little short technique, and if you'd like, I'll demonstrate it for you. And I will also email you a copy of it, and you can make it available to people on your site.
Absolutely. Please do, Mark.
Sure. Simple technique. And this is one of the what's come to be called the tapping techniques. And it originally started with Dr. Roger Callahan with thought field therapy, where he took very, very intense emotional issues and taught people how to tap on certain acupressure points in the body, and in doing so, release that emotion. And it worked fantastically. In his first class was Dr. Larry Nims, a psychologist from Orange County in California, and I think in his first or second class was Gary Craig, the developer of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. And they took the same concept that Dr. Callahan had and just shortened it up. And what we're finding out with all of these techniques, whether it's NLP, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's the tapping techniques, it makes no difference. The key element is intention. That is the key element. If you remember nothing else, remember it's the intention. So if it's your intention to release that emotion, then all you need is a tool to carry that intention through. And that's what this is. So, for instance, let's say you were experiencing leg problems, leg pain. Let's just take that as an example. We would begin by tapping at the beginning of the eyebrow and repeating this statement. I release all of the sadness, all of the grief, all of the shame and blame in all parts of my being, and the real and true cause of all of my beliefs, my fears, my doubts, and all of my uncertainties about this pain in my leg. We come here on the side of our eyebrows, at the base of the eyebrows, on the side of the eye itself, and go, I release all of the fear, all of my worries, all of the anxiety in all parts of my body, in the real and true cause of all of my beliefs, my fears, my doubts, and all of my uncertainties about this pain in my leg. Then you come underneath the eye. I release all of the anger, all of my rage, and all of my frustration in all parts of my being, in the real and true cause of all of my beliefs, my fears, my doubts, and all of my uncertainties about this pain in my leg. Come back to the first point again, beginning at eyebrow. I'm releasing all the negative influences in all parts of my being, in the real and true cause of all of my beliefs, my fears, my doubts, and all of my uncertainties about this pain in my leg. Simply put your hand over your heart and say, I forgive and I accept forgiveness for the thoughts that I hold, for the judgment and criticisms that I make about myself and others. I release this pain in my leg. I'm free. That's it.
Wow.
And
Well,
you will notice.
thank you so much for sharing that, Mark, because I think that is really something tangible that anybody who is watching or listening to this can really take into their own lives. And as you said, it's available. Anybody who goes over to juicingtobliss.com and puts in their name and email. But I also wanna point out that you too have a website where people can go. Is that correct?
Correct. www.yourinfinitesuccess.com.
Okay.
And actually, we go into this technique in the last book that I did, Fearless Self-Confidence, has this technique and has a link to this technique where I sort of explain it on video. So if they get the book, they automatically get the link to the video that shows how to do this technique. But it's a very simple technique, but works quite well.
And I think that's key, Mark, what you just said, that it's simple. And I think one of the throws that the egos can get us into is that we don't know enough, or it's too hard or too complex, and we have to, somehow know something that we don't know yet, and that keeps us aimlessly searching, when really coming back to the simple, powerful tools that have worked over thousands and thousands of years, and really literally tap into that wisdom, that thank God, there's people like you that are teaching us these skills that we can take into our own lives and share with our family, share with our children, when they're afraid, when they have pain come up. Those are the real tangible tools that I think are so important that people also understand about.
I agree. And one other thing I'd like to add, because we are all connected, because we all exist within a field, a solitary soul field, and everything that's seen and unseen exists in that same field. You can tap for someone else. They can be doing this, technique, but if they have trouble focusing on this technique, or too engaged in the emotion at the time, you can tap for them. And we've done this. As a matter of fact, you just have to say something. Something that you said about doing it for children and stuff, because we do this so much, we don't even think about it anymore as an absent healing or a distant healing or anything of that nature. We just realize because of the connection, we can do this and help someone else. You can help someone. Again, it's your intention.
And I think it's really powerful. I was just thinking about that, and probably, when people head over to your site and kind of find out a little more about that. And I think you said it's www.infinitesuccess.com. Is that true?
Yourinfinitesuccess.com.
Okay, so www.yourinfinitesuccess.com.
Right.
But again, if for anybody that's watching or listening, I'm just going to put up here our, just give me a sec here. If you come over to juicingtobliss.com, put in your name and email address, we will make sure that along with our fully guided and free 4-day juice fast, because like you said in the beginning, it may, in the beginning, we start with where we're comfortable at, right? We don't want to overwhelm ourselves. Mm-hmm. So anybody who heads over there, clicks on the link, signs up, will also get the email with all your information as well, including a link to the Amazon book as well, because I think your new book is out and it's on sale on Amazon right now. Is that true, Mark?
That's correct. We sort of wanted to do. You and I talked about doing a bonus for this video podcast. So in order to help those that are engaged in your juice fast, in your juicing program, we have Fearless Self-Confidence is going to stay on sale for about a week for 99 cents.
Oh, that's a steal, Mark. That's great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know the people in our audience probably will appreciate it too. One of the things that I quickly want to touch on, because we're parents and we're busy with 2 kids. One of the things that I was thinking while you were showing and demonstrating the exercise is that even if people are new to it, as a couple, it would be really powerful if one person is doing the tapping and the other person is actually, and you can rewind it and you can either listen to it, or again, you can probably get the like the written version, or you just make up your own little thing, and the other person is kind of saying it out loud, because so many times there's also healing going on during a juice fast in the relationship, because as we've noticed that as we go deeper into our own healing, things come up with each other and for each other that are opportunities, like you said, Mark, opportunities to grow and kind of shed some old skin and let go of ideas and beliefs that really aren't matching our intention and our desire to create our best life now. And I think that's really important for all the couples and parents listening. And I know we'll be doing it with our kids, because I think it's really important to expose our children to these things, especially in today where it's so easy to get distracted by all the other stuff that's available on the internet and online. Mark, do you have any in closing, do you have anything else that you think that somebody who is brave enough, maybe for the first time, to go into this, or somebody who has done a couple fasts and maybe wants to extend or deepen the experience, is there something that you could let our audience know about that might be helpful to them?
Well, I think that there's something in it for everyone, whether they engage in the prolonged fast or whether they go for your 4-day fast. There's something in it for everyone. What I would suggest for people and especially for couples, would be a couple of things. First of all, again, we talk about intention being the most important thing. What is the intention of the fast? When you get to the end of the fast, what is it that you hope to accomplish as a result of the fast? But don't make it just a physical thing. Don't make it just, well, I hope to lose 10 pounds. I hope to be able to get into, better, tighter pair of jeans. Don't make it just a physical thing. Make it a physical, an emotional, and a spiritual thing. So for a couple, they may, naturally there's a physical component to it. You're going to be much healthier, for sure. But there's also an emotional component. What emotions of a positive nature do we want to experience? Do not ever, ever focus on the negative emotion. Don't express your intention in terms of what you don't want. Express your intention in terms of what you do want. And like you, I recognize and recommend that people verbalize it. Say it out loud. Listen to the words that you use to express that intention, because they'll be loaded with linguistic clues to what's really going on the subconscious level. So express that. Express that emotionally. Express it spiritually. What do you hope to accomplish? And you may just say just a closer spiritual union. But for couples, it makes for an excellent conversation to discuss, what does that mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What does it mean for us together to experience that? Then probably the last thing I would say to someone who is really wrapped up in this juice fast, really is engaged in it. Keep a journal. Every day, every day, write down exactly what you are experiencing. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you share the information in there, because some of it on the surface in the beginning is going to be maybe pointed towards other people. Now I'm starting to realize that you make me angry, and I'm starting to realize that, the reason I haven't succeeded in life is you've been holding me back and all of this. And this is all illusion. This is all crap. None of it is true. But this is what's...
important that you have a means of expressing it. Is that what
definitely.
The journal is for?
Because it's going to change. And by the time you get to the end of that fast, that whole outlook, that whole victim mentality, all of that will have changed. And you want to be able to go back and look and see chronologically how you healed, what you experienced to get to the intention that you set in the beginning. What did you want to experience at the end? What was the effect that you wanted to experience that you set this cause in motion? Because this is a powerful step. As you well know, you're in day 8. So you're experiencing this on a moment-by-moment basis. This is a powerful thing for a person to go through.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And also, I'd like to point out that while it's really important also to have a journal, I think, how can I say that? Well, I know that I'm gonna just put up our Facebook page, because I also know that some of our audience, they might be the first ones on the block, so to speak. They might be the first ones in their family or their social circle that are contemplating or have already made that bold and courageous commitment to take a step into their physical, emotional, spiritual health by doing a detox and doing a cleanse. So often we feel kind of alone and alienated while we're in this, because we don't have anybody to relate to. And so we've also created our Facebook page, and really want to encourage people to ask their questions. Like everyone who was on the interview today, or even who is listening to it as a recording later on, please, if you contemplate, if you are interested in making that step for yourself, by all means, take advantage of all the great information that Mark has shared in this interview, in this show, but also head over to our Facebook page and introduce yourself. Ask questions. Ask questions. Share your story. We'll feature them in our interviews with other health experts and authorities in different fields, because having a support, you said it earlier, Mark, it's an illusion to think that we are separate. And yet, when we think about making that bold step into, taking a step into our own best life, creating my best life, we might be feeling pretty isolated, and we might be having a lot of weird looks and comments from the people closest to us, and that can often stop us. And so that's why Rebecca and I really want to encourage you, head over to our Facebook page, introduce yourself, and ask any questions. And maybe just to wrap this up, how important is it? Because I think you are always using the word we, so you have your own community, you have people that you surround yourself with that kind of resonate, that are like-hearted, like-minded people. How important is it to have somebody that's behind you or that kind of guides you through your journey? Mark, maybe you can speak to that.
To me, that's the difference between success and failure.
Okay, well that makes it simple.
if you don't have, and earlier I made the comment that as you keep in that journal, you may not want to share that, and let me just stretch that out for one moment. You may not want to share that with people who are not going through the same experience, because they're not going to understand what you're going through. The flip side of that is, now that with the advent of Facebook and everything else, you can be a part of a community that's going through that. So yeah, you might want to share this with those people because they're going through a similar experience, and that's what you're going to find out. What you thought was such a soul experience, and you think you're the only person on earth going through this experience, all of a sudden you get on your Facebook page and you find out there's a lot of people that are going through a very similar experience. You are absolutely correct. You're not alone. But that is the place to share it, because look, let's face a fact. You're going to have doubts and uncertainties. And as these emotions come up and these different organs begin to show that they've been under stress and strain for years in your life, your lungs through fear, your gallbladder and your liver through anger, your spleen through obsession, your pancreas through your loss of sweetness and the joy in life. It can mean all of the difference in the world to have someone or a community, as you say, that understands that experience and that can help you and say, listen, just hang tight. You're going to go through this for a couple of days. We went through it for a couple of days, and all of a sudden, the dawn broke. And when it was dark clouds, now there's sunshine. And that can mean success or failure to someone who's going through this.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to finish with just, again, pointing out to people that you have written 2 great, inspiring, and empowering books. That again, we'll be putting them in an email to you. If you head over to juicingtobliss.com, put in your name and email, we'll give you all the information that Mark has shared with us today, and we'll give you the link to the Amazon page as well, where for the next week or so you will get Mark's newest book, Fearless Confidence, for 99 cents. I mean, that's just a great. Again, I think of books. Honestly, I think of books as being our elders, being, keepers of wisdom. And we can now, you can download it on your Kindle, on your smartphone, and you can take it with you. So you really have the opportunity to tap into that wisdom as well. And we haven't talked a lot about how powerful the mind is with regards to cancer. And maybe, because I'm really intrigued about that, Mark, because cancer touches a lot of people's lives, if not directly, then indirectly. So I'm just going to shamelessly ask you if you're interested maybe in a future episode of our My Best Life Now show, would you be willing to maybe come back and talk to our audience in one of our upcoming episodes about more specifically about cancer and how, what role the mind has in it, and how it can be part of also the healing journey.
Oh, definitely, definitely. This is something that's very close to me. I've lost a mother. I've lost literally all of one side of my family over the years to cancer. And that's what originally got me, started in figuring out there's got to be some other kind of way. There's something that we're missing in this whole deal. And for years, spontaneous healing was only spoken about in the back rooms of hospitals. No one would ever admit that something like that could happen, and if it did happen, it was quietly either not spoken of outside or just written off as a miracle, and you'll never understand it, and it's not a miracle. We look at it as a miracle simply because we don't understand the universal laws involved in it. But yeah, be glad to come back and we can talk about that. And actually, a lot of the people that may be engaged in your juicing program and in this fast may actually be turning the tide on something that may be starting in their own body right now that will never develop because they did this program.
So it's really also a preventative kind of step. And honestly, just full disclosure, Rebecca and I also chose to go on this intentional growth spurt, if you will, with that in mind, because I know, in her family, there's some cancer and some stuff, and also in mine as well. So we really wanted to take responsibility for our own health, and just like you said earlier, make that step and find out for ourselves, and really not just read about it, but also get into it and really work through some of the rather, challenging and painful feelings and thoughts and emotions that come up during the fast. And so, Mark, thank you. I know I really appreciate it. I learned so much from you today. I'm really grateful to you. And I want to, again, remind everybody, you can head over to www.yourinfinitesuccess.com. Mark has a lot more great information that's available to you. Really make that step to create your best life now. Head over to our Facebook page, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. You'll find it. It's the My Best Life Now show. And again, if you just head over, if that's all complicated for you, just head over to our page. Let me just pull that up for you again. Where we are right now doing our 40-day challenge. But you can just put in your name, your email, and then you'll get all the information that Mark and I were talking about and that we learned from Mark here today. And Mark, anything in closing that you wanna say to our audience?
Oh, we could, Dieter, we could probably talk about this forever. This is just an amazing thing. But let me just close in saying this: we are all connected, and we're not connected just to each other. We're connected to everything that we see around us. It's all just simply one energy that takes the form of many different things. As you begin to heal your body, you're not just healing your body, you're healing the world.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. It's so true. And again, if you want more information, all the information that you need, just head over to our website. Thank you, Mark Kearns, for being on our show today. And thank you for also agreeing to come back. Subscribe to our podcast, and you will get this episode and all the other episodes with Mark and other great experts and authorities in the field of health, psychology, motivation, spirituality, nutrition. And it's really a privilege for Rebecca and I to be able to share that with you and help you create your best life now. So thank you, and have a wonderful day, and talk to you again very soon.